Yes. It is Call My Bluff, where the art of fiction is still kept alive by Patrick Campbell.
Thank you. Good evening. And my first guest, while busy churning away in Measure for Measure at the Royal Shakespeare Company, Stratford and Avon, I'd also had time to do a play of the month, Chekhov's The Wood Demon, and she's a little bit of a demon too, Francesca Ennis. And my other assistant played the part of the Tsar in that second motion picture on Nicholas and Alexandra. He's now doing rather better for the National Theatre, Mr. Michael Jayston.
And the man in the asbestos bow tie, Frank Muir.
My first guest is cookery expert, Queen of the Pots, Lady Harlech. And my second guest is sportsman extraordinary, King of the Yachts, Robin Knox-Johnston.
Let's see if the service is as good here as it used to be. Yes, it is. The first word is Pomelian, or they'll pronounce it umpteen different ways, but Patrick Campbell and his team will define it 3 different ways. 2 of the definitions will be false, 1 will be true. That's the one that Frank and Co. will try and pick out. So, Patrick, what about this word?
A Pomelion. It's a high-backed saddle. It was favoured by a tribe called the Goharoth.
The what?
Goharoth.
Thank you. Next.
The tribe of nomadic Spanish horsemen. They waged a good deal of guerrilla warfare in Andalusia in the 16th century.
You've been misled.
Now, Pomeleon, he looked rather like a kind of medium-sized armchair from the Athenaeum Club. Because without the legs, the horse had the legs. But the trouble with the Pomeleon was it was so heavy it kept getting underneath the horse's stomach. And there's a wild story among the Goharoth.
Do tell us.
That one saddler...
Don't worry.
...took the juice of the century plant, you know, this giant cactus thing, and tried to make a glue in order to glue the saddle onto the back of the horses.
Glue.
It failed to work.
Michael Jayston, your go.
A pomelion is the round iron knob about the size of a grapefruit that can be found at the blunt or non-firing end of a muzzle-loading cannon, such as was used at Trafalgar on the HMS Victory. It is not an ornament. It's used by the gun layer. He grabs hold of it and swivels the gun so that he can direct fire at the enemy.
That's the way to do it. If do it, you must. Francesca Ennis.
A pomelian is a bud that is sometimes, not always, found on the black poplar tree in Asia Minor. And this pomelian, this bud, centuries ago was used in food and much sought after by cooks in the same way that today we use, garlic and, things like that. And it was used to spice things up a bit. A pomelian.
Right. It's some sort of condiment in the shape of a bud growing on a tree. It's a lump on the end of a gun, and it's a kind of a saddle that wasn't much good, it seems. Frank?
Don't like the lump on the end of the gun much. Most cannon have sort of ears, sort of handles you grasp. I don't think it sort of works with a knob. I don't know. It could be, I suppose, the sticky bud that you poison your food with. But I love Paddy's load of old rubbish there. It can't possibly be a Spanish saddle with a French name glued on with cactus glue. But by heavens, it's worth flashing a card to see.
Well, you will see now, in short order. True or bluff, Patrick?
A very wise judgment there, lad.
Oh. logic was unimpeachable, Frank, but it's nothing to do with logic, is it? As you've learned. Now, who gave the true definition? Which of the others? Here he goes.
There it is.
There it is, the lump on the gun.
Going down to what the Frank's like.
Lump on a gun, sort of ball at the end of it, no doubt manoeuvred, as Michael told you. Now you have spang-hew or spang-thew or anything. Frank.
Lost our service, haven't we? Spang-hew is very useful. It's a sort of multi-purpose tool used by drovers to make sure that their cattle had happy feet. You know those things. You know those things that one used to have on penknives to get Boy Scouts out of horses' hooves. Well, this is the sort of thing that carves off the bone or gets stones out when they're bringing the cattle down to the bull ring at Birmingham or wherever they bought the cattle. I'm not going to fill that in any further. It's quite clear what it is. Spang-hew.
Yes. Right, Robin Knox-Johnston, what do you say?
Well, spang-hew is a North Country verb, North Country verb, describing what is presumably a North Country recreation, namely making or causing a frog or toad to leap into the air.
They do that anyway, don't they, really?
Yes, but this is the North Country way of making them do it when you want them to do it.
Ah, that's the North for you.
Unfortunately, speaking as a Southerner, I've never seen them do it. But presumably you stamp your foot or shout alley-oop or something and cause this frog or toad to leap into the air.
Spang-hew. Pamela Harlech, you'll go.
Well, now a spang-hew. This is used as a surgical splint. You can use a plank, you can use a curtain pole, you can use a broomstick if you wish.
Toothpick.
Toothpick.
It's a very small.
Very good, toothpick. And it can also mean to set with a splint, a broken bone. Now, in ancient times, there was a man who went around picking up riders after the cavalry charge, and he was known as a spang-hewer.
Yes. Well, it's a kind of a splint. Kind of a splint. It's something that gets something out of something. And it's...
A reeling. Look.
Something. It's certainly something that you say to make a frog jump. Patrick.
Well, I think that drovers, faced with cattle with bad feet and a short little instrument, would not have a word as long as spang-hew to describe it. Possibly a spang or a hew, but not both together.
Do my best.
Outboard. And Robin doesn't know what makes frogs jump into the air.
Sitting on a drover's tool.
We've heard some drivel here. Somebody kind of stamps their foot, I think, was your analysis of spang-hew. Well, we've had some drivel here, but that's... I believe it to be a splint.
A type of a class of a species of a splint, Pamela Harlech. You said more or less that. True or bluff? 1, 2, 3...
No.
Oh. I wonder, I really do wonder, who gave the true definition?
Knowing nothing about it.
Yes. Spang-hew is really a way of making a frog jump, a work of supererogation, really, but there you are. Malmini is the next word, the score standing 1-1, by George. Michael Jayston.
Malmony is the action, although Malmanists, those who practice Malmony, would probably call it an art, of spreading clay, or a mixture of clay and chalk, around the outside of a house to seal it. And it's mainly practiced in southeast England and Derbyshire, where the bricks are porous, and they would admit water or damp.
Right. Francesca?
A Malmini is a song or a chant of grief that is usually sung at funerals, which is sometimes accompanied by, gnashing of teeth and the whipping off of your clothes to show rejection of material goods. And you can also have malmenionists, which are the people who are hired to go along at these Eastern funerals. And
that Eastern, that'd be about Suffolk, would it?
It has been heard of, yes,
Yeah,
to be
yeah, I thought so.
performed at Suffolk, and that's a malmeny.
A hint of Eastern misery.
Patrick, what do you say?
Malmené.
Ah.
It's got a sweet sauce. And there are two kinds of it. Both kinds are made of wine, butter, and sugar, and spices, unfortunately. But they come in two different kinds. You have Malmené Royal and Malmené Bastard. Malmené Royal is made out of any kind of fairly average good vintage wine. But Malmené Bastard is made out of plonk.
Yes, well, it's a dirge sung in the East. It's clay spreading on the outside of houses, and it's a sauce. Comes in two varieties. Robin Knox-Johnston, your go.
Yes, difficult.
Crystal clear.
Yes, quite so. Well, I don't think it's a streak at a funeral, which Francesca rather insisted it was. And despite the beautiful pronunciation from Patrick Campbell, I don't think it's a sauce. I think we'll risk it on the Old English and go for the muck spreading of clay round the houses in Derby.
Ah, yes, it was Michael Jayston who said that. Yes, true or bluff, we'll know. Second. Oh. Such a thing has never been seen in Derby. Who gave the true definition of this word? Rather sweet sauce, which comes in two varieties. And here we have the score standing 2-1. Juk, anything. Robin.
Well, a juk is a verb, again, which, like bubble and squeak, imitates a sound. And the sound that this particular word is meant to imitate is that of a partridge. Now, if you're a hunting man, you'll know. The partridge is said to juk when it's disturbed, and it comes streaking up out of the ground, terribly quick, and difficulty getting your gun onto it. And it's a sort of half-startled sound from a partridge when it's disturbed, a juk. Out of the side of its mouth.
Just done it once, just one.
And just out of the side of it.
Just one juk.
I've
Not
never
juk,
heard of
juk, juk.
No, I've never heard of juk or juk.
Well, it's only startled once, so it just says juk.
Well, a juk, or juke, J-U-Q-U-E, is an old name for the queen at chess. And this is where it derives from the Persian jukwa, meaning counselor. To quote from Chaucer's Death of Blanche, "And when I saw my duke away, alas, I could no longer play."
Good Lord. That's Chaucer.
Chaucer.
Oh, there were days, when nothing would
Saucy.
come and
Good
scribble,
Lord,
scribble,
God.
scribble. Yes, it is rather. Yeah.
Or
Frank.
it isn't Chaucer.
Oh,
Consider
Yes.
the plight of the baker. He's put his long wooden thing and got his bread out of the oven, which is all hot. And at the bottom of the oven, you've got these toasted breadcrumbs and stuff. What to do about it? What he does, you see, he gets a pole and wraps a bit of wet rag round the end and pushes it in and cleans his oven, and it goes in cold and wet, and it comes out hot and wet. And that improvised baker's... I'm losing sort of confidence in
seldom heard.
improvised baker's
An
mop
improvised baker.
for cleaning an oven is a juk.
Oh, no.
Well, it's a baker's mop for cleaning an oven, must need one. Partridge noise, they have to say something, and it's an old-fashioned term for the queen in chess. Michael.
Well, I've seen a lot of partridges, and I've never heard them going juck, juck, juck.
Where have you seen them? I wish you'd tell me.
Oh, zoos and things.
Oh, yeah.
I was inclined to think it was the Persian queen at chess, but the quotation didn't sound Chaucerian to me. So I'll have to plump for the ridiculous mop that was used by bakers.
The mop
Frank Muir.
of which Frank spoke so feelingly. True or bluff, Frank? Interesting match, interesting match. Who gave the true definition of this word? Juck. Partridge! Should you be lucky enough to hear it, it's a partridge noise. 2-all. Yes, yes, they even went before I rang the bell. That's what I do call service. Lancaster is the next word. Francesca.
A Lancaster is a lard cake, or a lardy cake, for which, among other things, the ancient northern city of Lancaster is renowned. Now, the Lancaster is very similar to the lardy cakes, or the lard cakes that we get down here in the south. But the big difference, well, the little difference, I would say,
Middle
want to look at it, is that the Lancaster is round, unlike our lardy cakes, which are square or oblong.
No.
Yes.
London lardy cakes you speak of there, eh? Yes.
Oblate circle. No.
Before we go into that, deep water indeed. Patrick, will you take over?
Mr. C.W. Lancaster, year 1850, invented a cannon with an ovoid barrel. Not a round one, but egg-shaped. The unfortunate cannoneers had to cast egg-shaped cannonballs. Because if you put a round one, you get it bung halfway down Mr. Lancaster's pipe, wouldn't you?
Yeah. The same with chickens.
Once you could get the sharp end of the... you get the sharp end coming out first. It went quite a long way, around about 10 yards with the wind behind it. And the lads handling Mr. Lancaster's gun called it the deleted Lancaster.
Michael.
Lancaster is a telegraph pole of the kind that used to flank most main railway stations, having 2 or 3 cross trees with lots of large number of telephone wires going through them. And it's believed to have got this name because telegraph poles of this type were first used on the Lancaster and East Yorks Railway.
Yes, well, it's a lardy cake, and it's an old-fashioned telegraph pole, and it's a field gun in the shape of a rugby football. Pamela Harlech.
Well, I'm worried about that egg-shaped cannon. I don't think anybody'd ever believe an egg-shaped cannon would work, even with egg-shaped cannonballs, somehow. It just, I don't know. I can't believe that one. And the telegraph pole, just because it was on the Lancaster Railway, I don't know. I'm going to go for the larder cake.
The lardy cake? No, it was Francesca Annis who spoke of that. True or bluff?
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Don't want to ask that question too often, my love. Ha ha ha! I still don't know what the rule is if someone does change their mind halfway through. So, who gave the true definition? You won't believe it, I
See,
bet.
if you get the sharp end coming out first, it works a
It really is quite unbelievable that it was an oval-shaped game of rugby football, which masqueraded as a gun or something like that.
You can have you can have an oval-shaped ball, projectile, but you can't have an oval-shaped cannon.
Well, old
cannon
Lancaster
barrel is
did.
oval-shaped.
Never worked, of course, Frank. I mean, you know, it just
8
blew out the
feet
wrong
with the
end.
wind behind it. If you get the pointed end out first.
Well, yeah, there. But we must leave an interesting discussion to go on to a miserable word called figgins. Pamela Harlech.
Well, figgins or figgins is the name used by those in the leather trade who, for the thin shavings which were shaved by the currier off the skins. And in Victorian times, small bundles of these figgins were sold for domestic use for polishing silver.
Yes, Frank?
Figgins. Figgins is an expletive. You might use it if you were suddenly surprised or were extremely sad or startled. But I think it was much used in 16th, 17th century. I don't know if you're familiar with Urquhart's translation of Rabelais.
Yes.
But then you will. I thought you'd be more familiar with the original. But if you can bear the translation, he says, "By figgins, grandmother, I cannot yet enter into the humour of being merry."
It's a false translation, that one, anyway.
Well, you get these corruptions, happily, don't we all?
But it was a bit ruder than that. Robin, your go.
Well, a figgins is a round played upon handbells. It's a piece of handbell music which ring the same melody but not together. And it's named after the Reverend Theodore Figgins, who originally created a Figgins. And in fact, he was well known, a much loved rector of St Martin's in the Gate, EC4.
So it's oval-shaped handbell music. No, it isn't. It's round-shaped. I mean, you know. It's leather.
You too are worried about the oval.
It's typical. You can see it coming at you. No, I know. Anyway, leather shavings used, you know, for polishing things, and a cry, just a cry. Francesca.
I'm just going to consult.
Yes.
What do you think?
I've no idea now.
Not a lot of time, my dear.
Captain,
oh
they're
dear,
sleeping there below.
leather trade for... I think that if you had shavings all put together for polishing, the whole thing would go into a total collapse. I don't think it can be that. On the other hand, a startled cry in the 16th or 17th century, I've never come across that either, I'm afraid. I don't think it could be that. And round bell... No, what? Played on handbell.
The Reverend
You
Figgins.
must now
Yes,
choose.
Reverend...
Jump.
Okay, I'm going.
Not yet, we're not finished.
I'll go for handbells.
Handbell music. Robin, to a bluff. Very quickly, if you please.
It is the life.
Oh, no, I know.
And may we have quickly the true definition.
By my figgins.
Oh, no! Not your Figgins yet.
Well, I think I even heard you say figgins at that moment when you got hold of the wrong bit of stuff. Anyway, 3-3. Friendly result. Game's rigged, as ever, you know. So there. Applaud them both, if you please. Well, we shall have more oval-shaped words from the Oxford English Dictionary next week. Until then, goodbye from Michael Jayston, Robin Knox-Johnston, Francesca Annis, Pamela Harlech, Patrick Campbell, Frank Muir, and goodbye.